Hello, everyone. I'm back again. Oh my gosh. Back again. Hello, back again. I had so many people request that I pop back on again tonight one more time to go through things. So I'm back again. Hello. Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. Oh, glad to hear it. Yeah, there's some interesting things in there for sure. Oh, just stumbled on. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Hello, happy Monday. Happy Monday to you too. Welcome. Yes, welcome aboard. I'm yes, oh thank you, Daniel. Hi Greg. Hello. Oh, I was on earlier tonight and had to hop off, but just had so many people request that I pop back on to explain this, so I thought, well, I go ahead and come back on for a little bit here. But welcome. Oh no, that's okay. That's okay. It just sometimes the timing of it just kind of gotta iron things out. So I'm happy to come back on and help where I can. And try to grab those that weren't able to make it earlier tonight. So, yes, of course, welcome. I'm glad to see everyone. Yeah, I've been doing pretty well. It's been busy. It's been super busy around here lately, but that's okay. That's okay. Oh, thank you, Renee. Thank you for saying that. Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a busy day. There's been a lot going on in the legal world out there today. So, lots and lots. I don't have cable anymore. Clueless about what's going on in the news. Oh, I totally understand. I feel the same. It is rose gold. It is. It is. Oh, hello. Hello, Kent. Yes. Yes, I was on just a little bit ago for a while, and I wanted to come back on again just to kind of explain what had happened today with the consent bond order that came down. This was kind of a big deal that was set out by the court regarding bonds. So, you need to sue your storage company. Oh, no. Oh, I hate to hear that. It's tough times out there these right about now. I've heard a lot of people that are struggling. Ever consider becoming a professor? I do teach. I am an adjunct professor. I'm currently not scheduled to be teaching these next couple of semesters, but oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, yeah, so I do teach, although again, I've got the next couple semesters off, but I certainly enjoy it quite a bit. Yeah, I think it depends on your jurisdiction. It's completely dependent on your jurisdiction, on who is, on what's required and what's going on with that. So, and perhaps we'll see what the jury decides. Oh, well, thank you, Egypt. I appreciate that. It's very kind words. Yeah, 11,781. Well, that's an interesting and unique number. Oh, my goodness. Well, it's just a bond. So as long as he shows up to all of his court dates, then he'll receive back his 10% and it shouldn't be any problem. We'll be thrown out before the jury. Oh, we'll see. I doubt it, but we're getting pretty far into the details here. I try to teach government. I think government is an essential part of understanding the law, so I do kind of teach some of those basic pieces. You graduate in May. Okay. Don't know the first step about applying for a job as a professor. I definitely, I went through the adjunct route. That really worked for me. It worked, but my schedule was able to be flexible enough, so it worked. Hello, Tara. Yeah, it seems like it. Well, right, and there wasn't an indictment released. I've kind of gone for that. I've posted a video specifically on what that document was that was accidentally clicked on. So it wasn't the indictment. It just kind of happens. just kind of happens. But I had lots and lots of requests to come back on and just kind of explain this bond again for anyone who missed it. And I am so happy to do that. It is absolutely my pleasure to explain how these things worked. We have here, again, the state of Georgia versus Trump. And this was a consent bond order, which means both sides agreed to this bond order. The first part is the bond amount that was set out. Now, for each of the charges, there was a bond amount set. So he's got the RICO charge up here. All of these other counts then are at $10,000, but the RICO was at $8,000 for a total of $200,000. Next, the amount of that was required to be put down according to the Fulton County Jail is the 10% program, which is pretty normal. So that would be $20,000. As long as he shows up, he should be able to get that back without any problem whatsoever. Next, what was set out is just pretty typical language when it comes to defendants. I know I popped back on. I had so many people ask me if I could come back on. And so I thought, oh, I'll come on. It's no problem. It's no problem at all. But the key here to this order are the conditions that are set out in number 4. The defendant shall perform no act to intimidate any person known to him or her to be a co-defendant or a witness in this case, or to otherwise obstruct the administration of justice. This shall include, but not limited to, the following. And then these are specific just to this defendant here. The defendant shall make no direct or indirect threat of any nature against any co-defendant. The defendant shall make no direct or indirect threat against any witnesses, including but not limited to individuals designated in the indictment as unindicted co-conspirators, individuals 1 through 30, which of course we don't know. Yes, 20,000. Yep, that's what it is. The defendant shall make no direct or indirect threat of any nature against any victim. The defendant shall make no direct or indirect threat of any nature against the community or to any property in the community. And the above shall include, but not limited to, posts on social media or reposts of posts made by another individual on social media. The defendant shall not communicate in any way, directly or indirectly, about the facts of this case with any person known to him to be a co-defendant in this case, except through his or her counsel. So these are the restrictions that have been placed on it. Now, again, the key part of this is that we have these qualifications set out along with the bond. It was signed by the DA and each one of his attorneys. So this is a mutually agreed upon bond order. That's very important. Restrictions he agreed to. Absolutely. Yep. That's how it works when we've got a consent bond agreement set out. You got it. So I wanted to come back on and answer any questions. So many people had said, what? Come back on, please. So, oh yeah, repetition is it's very helpful. I just got here. Is this the $100,000? This is $200,000. Now, what I also have is a printout then of Mr. Eastman's bond. And he is set for his RICO charge at $20,000 instead of $80,000 for Mr. Trump. So Mr. Eastman's got $20,000 plus $10,000 for each of his charges of conspiracy and filing false documents. So his total is $100,000, which again can pay 10%. So that's how the bond order came back. Oh yes, I had popped off for a little bit here, but I had so many people that had asked me to come back on and explain. So I'm so happy to come back on again. My phone had cooled down a little bit, so I saw what he had filed in DC, and I guess that's in response again to that 2026 idea of having the trial push that far. And of course that is completely ridiculous. So I think as attorneys, we all were like, what are you talking about? So, his order, his information was kind of like, what are you doing? So I can understand what's going on. Yeah, 10%, according to the Fulton County Jail here is what they set out. So yes. This is a way to keep him from Well, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I mean, when are we supposed to charge it then? When are they supposed to charge? Should they wait until after the election? I mean, what's going on? When's the perfect time to charge this kind of a case? I think that's really the question. If we had done it sooner, then everyone would have said, you don't have any proof. You charged too soon. If we'd done it later, they'd said, wow, you're way too close to the election. So, there's really no good time to charge it. Yeah, you got to treat him like everybody else. I mean, that's really what this is about, is that, he's a defendant just like all of our defendants, and we got to kind of go through. I mean, she broke the law, sure, but there's no evidence that she broke the law, so we just don't have those issues. Is there any reason there shouldn't be 2 grand juries on the documents case? Well, you only need 1 grand jury. I'm not sure why we would need 2, I guess. I'm not sure. We try not to pull in too many juries. The host sees my, yeah, I see you. I see you there. Did you have yes. Yeah. Yeah, the thing is with the votes, that's all been determined. It's been decided, and for this idea that there were missing votes or voter fraud, I mean, the courts have already decided there wasn't any. It does seem low, but I think it's within the normal scheme for this jurisdiction for these crimes. And I put this out, Mr. Eastman's, because just to compare it, he's at 10 grand a pop here to a little less for RICO, but very similar. So I think they have their own scale that they use in that jurisdiction. So I think it's normal for them, for defendants who've been charged with these kinds of cases. Well, Ashley, I think you cared enough to make a comment. So, courts threw out cases, testimony was ignored, there was fraud. Nope, that's not how it works. Sorry, just not how it works. It seems like I think a lot of people care. But if you don't, you can feel free to move on. That's no problem. Won't hurt my feelings one bit. I didn't know lawyers can negotiate bail. We can negotiate pretty much almost everything. If there's no mandatory minimum requirements, if it's not statutorily required, pretty much everything can be negotiated. So, and especially if there are conditions put on it too. Like there needed to be, the state could have asked for no bond, could have said, no, we think that there's a flight risk here and we don't want any bond. So they could have come in, and it's definitely something that can be negotiated. Like, okay, we'll do bond, but we have to make sure that you agree to the other conditions. That's not happening. Act like an attorney, please. Oh, well, do you know how an attorney should act? You should tell me. Why don't you tell me how an attorney should act? I would love to hear that. Hope they hold him. Entire campaign trail. He still wants. Could happen. What percentage of these cases would you say end in conviction? I have no idea. My view is always, if we get it in front of a jury, we've got a 50-50 shot. It doesn't matter how good your case is, but it's 50-50 when any time that we've got a situation. Oh, Tara, did you want to come in as a mod? That's awfully kind of you to offer. I would be very thankful for your help. Thank you very much. And welcome aboard. Oh, what are the chances of holding him? Now that I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we've got 50-50 when we're in front of a jury. It really is up to our jurors. Would love to mod. Well, we'll see. We'll see how we're doing, Captain. I might need to pull you in. Thank you for the offer. I do truly appreciate that offer. Yes, thank you, mods. Is it trolly? It gets trolly right in the beginning. Captain, I am going to go ahead and pull you in. Thank you for your offer. I appreciate that. Okay, hold on. There we go. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the team. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Oh, wow. Whoa. Yes. We get a little trolly here in the beginning. It tends to kind of even out a little bit as time goes on. But, oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm just careful, Toad. There's so many people that come in here and try to completely dominate the conversation. And so other people have questions and I can't see their questions. And so, I try to keep it so everyone can ask questions. But, oh, the blue one, I had to put the blue one away. I had the blue one on earlier, so had to switch. Had to switch just to kind of, yeah. Oh, it's hard, Mama. It's so hard. It's hard to keep up. I know it is. I absolutely know it is. We get a lot of people in here, and I love it, but it can be hard to see your question when so many people are kind of putting a little bit too much in there. So, let's see. Oh, I try to kind of get my keywords in there. Will the trial be shown nationwide? I bet it would be, Greg. I think they're going to pick it up. I think we're going to have cameras in the courtroom in Georgia, and then I think it's going to be picked up and kind of put around where it needs to go. So I have no doubt that if you want to, you'll be able to tune into it. Yeah, Georgia does. Georgia does. They've got some interesting rules there. Racketeering is a state charge here. This was charged under a Georgia state statute. There is also a federal RICO statute, but that's not been charged. Only the Georgia statute has been charged. So it's a state charge. Count 27, filing false documents. Well, I can try. Just a moment. Let me see here. Filing false documents. Go to the back here, past the X. Count 27. We've got let's see. On or about the 31st of December, knowingly, unlawfully filed a document titled Verified Complaint for Emergency Injunctive and Declaratory Relief in the matter of Trump v. Kemp in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Georgia. So what they're saying here is that he knowingly filed a false lawsuit. That is what he has been charged with for that count. He was not arrested. Does he have immunity? No, he does not have immunity, and I believe the arrest is coming, although you can turn yourself in, so we don't have to have a big spectacle of it, for sure, but that is definitely possible. Thursday. Yep. I think you're right. No, he's not in jail. This is just a mutually agreed upon consent bond order. So both sides, the DA, along with the counsel for the defendant, agreed to all of these terms along with the bond. So that's what's happened here. Yes. Charges will stick. It's possible. Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of counts, we got a lot of charges, so it's really up to the jury to find beyond a reasonable doubt. Our counts are set out by our grand jury, which finds probable cause. So that's the level of proof that we're at so far. Was hoping for a spectacle. I think you're not alone on that. Blow pop Republic. Oh, yes. I think this might get transferred to federal court. I think it's a chance that everybody takes, that, and especially that Meadows is saying, I did this under my official duty as chief of staff, and so I qualify to have this in federal court under the code. But I think, him arguing that the actions he did in Georgia were based off of being chief of staff, I think are a bit of a stretch. But again, I don't know what's going to happen in federal court. How did the same docket get posted early? Seems a little fishy. Okay, so this is kind of an ongoing thing on my channel. There was a document. Let me go ahead and grab it here. I think I've shown this document maybe 200-300 times. This was accidentally filed a couple of hours before the indictment. It happens. Somebody pushed the wrong button. This is the indictment. This is the paper that was filed. Somebody just pushed the wrong button. It happens. It absolutely happens. It's some kind of a cover sheet, it's a work product, and somebody pushed the wrong button and probably have been pretty admonished for it. But yeah, it just happens. Just happens. I'm not taking any clients right now, although I appreciate the question. Thank you very much, kindly, for that. But yeah, I'm not taking any clients at this time. Now, a grand jury, just as a quick side note, a grand jury is pulled in order to determine if there's probable cause to indict. A petit jury or petite or trial jury are fact finders, where we put our evidence in front of them and they make a determination of guilty or not guilty. Those are the two kinds of juries that we have. The grand jury comes in, sets out the indictment. So that's the difference between our two kinds of juries. Yep. Oh, thank you. Oh my goodness. Oh, yes. Oh yeah, the clerk, she probably feels terrible about it. I can't even imagine. If you think about any time you've ever filed something incorrectly at your job, it's embarrassing. You just feel terrible about it. I thought she called it a night. I did, Snappy Squid. I did, but so many people had come back and said, I missed it. And I thought, I just hop back on here just quick and kind of talk about it a little bit. It doesn't just happen. It's the first time it's happened in this court's history. Are you telling me this is the first time something was accidentally filed incorrectly in the county? I don't believe that for 1 minute. No, I don't believe that at all. In fact, in just these cases, we've got all kinds of attorneys that have accidentally filed incorrectly. Mr. Meadows filed a brief incorrectly and then had to file a corrected brief. It happens all the time. It absolutely happens all the time. Yes, 10% bond is what was required here. It's like sending an email with a misspelled name. That's a perfect way of putting it, Shelley. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Just, put the wrong name or put the wrong coding number in. You got to pull it back in and then redo it. I'm just back. Yeah, I'm back briefly here. I had several people ask me if I could come back on, so I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to come and explain it. Yes, it seems like it might be low, but I think in this jurisdiction for these types of crimes, it's pretty normal. We've got Mr. Eastman here. He's got a RICO claim $20,000, and then all of his other counts here are all 10, and it's the same here. Mr. Trump's RICO's at 80,000, so he's higher, and I think that's because he's kind of seen as the head of the situation. And then each of these are at 10,000, so the numbers are pretty similar. But I think for this jurisdiction, any defendant with these kinds of charges would have had the same amount. What's your guess on the outcome? I don't know. I really don't know. Anytime we're in front of a jury, it's a 50-50 shot. So, no matter how strong you think your case is, you just never know. Have to treat them like everyone. Yep. You got to just kind of, you got to treat them the same. Other defendants in the same situation should have about the same kind of bond. So that's how it's supposed to be. Jenna Ellis. Yeah. So she's been charged with counts 1 and 2, which is the RICO violation. They've all been charged with RICO. And then the number 2 count is solicitation, a violation of an oath of public officer. So let me check and see which one her specific charges. There were a lot of officers, any of the secretaries of states, anyone who was in the House of Representatives, and so on. Those are all requests for violation of oaths. So let me see where I can find her specific charge. Just a minute. Let me see if I can pull it up in my paperwork. Whoop. Count 2. Here we go. Count 2. So she is 3rd day of December asking certain public officials officers then serving as elected members of the Georgia Senate to present at a judiciary subcommittee meeting. So this one has to do with all of these different people at the committee meeting where they were asking for an unlawful appointing of presidential electors in a willful, intentional violation of the terms of oath. So that's what she's been charged with, asking the committee to go forward with these bad electors. Yeah, I've replaced the toner. I was in a hurry when this first came out, so with one mistake, can he get a mistrial? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nope, we don't. It doesn't work that way. Nope. No, it just doesn't work that way. But yes, I have a different ring. Oh, wouldn't want to be any of them. That's for sure. My goodness gracious, this is some pretty significant. It's pretty significant. What's her conviction rate? I really don't know. I heard that she'd done 12 RICOs and had 11 convictions, and this was her 12th. But I don't have any kind of documentation or evidence to back that up. So that's completely inadmissible hearsay. That's just my guess. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. What about a string of mistakes then mistrial? Yeah, it would have to be a pretty significant string of mistakes. Mistrial can happen at any time, but if you have a mistrial, then you just put your case together and put it on again. Can you wish my friend a happy birthday? His name is... I'm not sure. Last time I said people's names didn't turn out well for me, but I will say to the friend of Onyx of Art, happy birthday to you. How's that? We'll do that. Clerical error. Needs to start again. Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Chicken Milk. Appreciate that. Yeah, nice try. I've learned the hard way, though. I have learned the hard way that I try to be careful about certain words, but nice try. It was a good try. Got it. Oh, my moderators. Oh, I just adore you all. Thank you for coming back. Yeah, you got to be careful with some people's name. Leaving out some part about the media and other stuff on the bonds. No, we've got, no, I mean, wait, I'm saying no, but what I mean is, yes, let's go through this again. Let's explain here. So we've got the amount set out here. Defendant shall not violate any laws of the state or laws of any other state or the laws of the United States or any local laws. And that's set out. Number 3, shall appear in court as directed by the court, shall perform no act to intimidate any person known to him or her to be a co-defendant, witness in this case, or otherwise obstruct the administration of justice. And then this includes our co-defendants, our unindicted co-conspirators, any witnesses, no threats, indirect or direct, about any of the victims, about the community or any property in the community. And then this above shall include, but not limited to, posts on social media or reposts of posts made by another individual on social media. The defendant shall not communicate in any way, directly or indirectly, about the facts of this case with any person known to him to be a co-defendant in this case, except through his or her counsel. Those are the conditions that were set out and mutually agreed upon by both sides. Both sides agreed to that, as did the judge. So that's why we call this a consent bail agreement. Yes. I had so many people ask me to pop back on, and I thought, you know what, I can do that. My phone had cooled down enough that I could come back on for just a little bit. Can they be retried on a mistrial? Yes. Yeah, they can. If you have a mistrial, it doesn't mean that there's been a finding of guilt or not guilt. If you have a finding, a verdict that's not guilty, then you can't be tried again. That would be double jeopardy. But if you have a mistrial, you can come back in and pull those cases in. Did Meadows admit guilt with his attempt to go federal? I don't think so. I don't think he admitted guilt any more than any of them had this entire time. I think this is a bit of a unique situation because our defendants aren't saying, no, I didn't do it, or I've been set up, or I've been framed. They're all saying, yeah, we did it, but we're allowed to do it. So it's a completely different perspective I've not seen before. New ring, yes, freshening up a little bit. I don't think he'll adhere to that. I think you might be right. We might have some problems. Oh, thank you, Suze. We might have some problems. We will see, but he's got some pretty strict conditions. And again, friendly reminder, he agreed to these conditions. Both sides agreed to it. So it's not like this is something that was set out against his will. Nope, they sat down, negotiated, and agreed. So I don't think so, Bone. I don't think it's problematic. I think, again, it's really luck of the draw. And, sometimes it's better to get a judge that hasn't been there too long because then, they might be fresh and looking at things a little bit differently in a different manner. But sometimes you want one that's been on for longer. But we will see. No, I'm not too surprised. I think the conditions were really what the DA was pushing for. I saw a senator in North Georgia file something about the DA. Have you seen that? No, I haven't, but there's been so many cases filed against her before this indictment came down, even by Mr. Trump, against her, against the judge, trying to get her tossed off of the case, trying to get the jury's findings thrown out. So each time the courts come down and said, she's fine, it's fine, she's doing fine. So, yeah, I think that there will be an attack. But I think, that, again, you got to do that. So you got to do everything that you possibly can. I'm not muted anymore. Oh, my gosh, Mark. Oh, my gosh, Mark, let me tell you a story, Mr. Mark. As soon as you got muted, the moderator was like, oh no, I accidentally muted this. I believe it was a nurse practitioner, and they felt terrible about it. So I'm so glad you're back. I'm sorry about that. Sometimes it just gets a little bit bonkers in here with all the comments, but welcome back. All right. Do you know any nurse practitioners who have become attorneys? I don't specifically know nurse practitioners, but I've met, I had a CNA that was in my group. I had a neuroscience scientist who was in my group. The cat, she said the cat accidentally muted you. Yes. There have been several people in the medical field that have gone into law and were very successful. And I tell you, oh my gosh, I would have to say the CNA who was in my law school class was probably one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my whole life. Absolutely the hardest. So, yes, I'm sorry about that, Mark. We all need to make Mark feel welcome. Welcome. Sorry about that, Mark. Where can you find this information? You just will go online to your search engine. I don't have a particular site because depending on where you're at in the U.S., will show you different sites that pop up. But you'll put in Georgia or state of Georgia versus Trump. Here's the case number here. And then what you want to type in after that are filed court documents or court documents. And what you're looking for is a PDF typically. So you may find it on a website. You may find it on a news website where they have the PDF. And you want to look for this filing mark up in the corner. Let me pull this down so you can see a little bit better. It says e-filed here in the corner, and it's got the date and the time. That's how you know it's an authentic document. But you can just go online and pull it up. There's lots of different places that'll have the document. It doesn't have to be directly from the court. As long as it's got this file stamp on it, you've got an authentic copy of it. Just do PDF. Yes, that's a great way to do it. Chicken and milk. That's a great way to do it. You got it. You're safe. My cat's asleep right now. Oh, poor Mark. Oh my gosh. Yes. At this point, is there any coordination between the feds and Georgia? I don't know. I don't know. They keep to their corners pretty respectfully. But I think if there are any questions, just like any colleagues, they would talk to each other about it. But I think the DA in Georgia, this isn't her first rodeo. She's pretty familiar with how this goes. So she's probably pretty sorted out when it comes to what she needs and what she doesn't need. So she may ask for assistance, but honestly, I highly doubt it. We really kind of stick to our own sides of the ring. Yeah, we'll see. But I suppose it's possible, but I doubt it. Hello from Wisconsin. Well, hello, Becky. Welcome. Becky, I saw your comment. I'm sorry that you missed me earlier. The DA is crazy. Perhaps crazy like a fox, maybe? I don't know. Entered the party late. Go to prison. Okay, not prison. Whoa, whoa. No. This is a bond order. This is just saying you need to show up for court. Or you can have your bond revoked, which would be jail, which would be contempt. So we would have a problem with that. Does he still have to turn in by Friday? I believe so, Casey. I think that deadline is still open. That's what's required of him. Still want a t-shirt image of those. Goodness gracious. I'm working on it. I got to get my merch up and going. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm working on my merch. I'm working on it. What do you think about the case being moved to federal court? I think it's a valid attempt. I think that it's smart to try to move it to federal court. I'm not sure they've got grounds for it. He's claiming supremacy clause and that as his job as chief of staff that he had to do what was requested of him. So, I'm not sure he's going to be successful with those. But, I think it's worth a try. I think you got to kind of try everything. Merch rings. I think he agreed to turn himself in on Thursday. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to watch out. Okay, Thursday it is. We'll have to see. He needs to be held accountable. Absolutely. I mean, everybody needs to be held accountable. So $20,000. And the reason is, again, I think this is just pretty standard for these kinds of charges in this jurisdiction. And I've got Mr. Eastman's here, and he's got some similar crimes that he's been charged with. He's got $20,000 for his RICO and then 10 for each of these. And then Mr. Trump's got 80 plus 10 for each of his. So I think it's just pretty typical for this these kinds of charges for these defendants. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I think it'll be really interesting to see what happens on Thursday. No one's above the law, including any politician. You're absolutely right. 200,000 bond. I thought bond was paid in full. It looks like, and I'm not sure exactly what's going on here in Fulton County, but typically only 10% is really required. But here they've got this Fulton County Jail 10% program. So that's where we get that $20,000 number from. Must really have evidence directly tying him to the scheme. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be solid evidence. Keep in mind, too, when we go forward and put a case on in front of a grand jury in order to get probable cause, that's a much lower standard than proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So the evidence that's presented is only going to be a small amount compared to the entire amount that this prosecutor has for the trial, because they only need probable cause. So they'll put out the evidence they need for probable cause and they'll keep the rest to the side. Not that the defendants don't get a chance to see it, because of course they do. That's their right by law. But when presenting to a jury, you don't have to give them all of the evidence and flood the jury with the evidence. So the evidence listed out in the indictment is just going to be a piece of what they actually have, because the standard of proof is so much lower. That's a very normal, typical way of going. That's what you heard, Rachel, on Rachel tonight? Okay. Does that include the individuals who weren't charged? No, I wouldn't. If you're not charged, until you're officially charged, you're not going to have any bits against you, I guess, if that makes sense. So we'd have to wait until they got charged. But if there was evidence that they're holding back in order to use that to charge those unnamed defendants, that will come out in that indictment or later on in a trial. Why is he not sitting? Well, I think I'm not sure. If you take a look at the previous cases this DA's done, I'm not really sure if those previous defendants were in jail, then perhaps this one should be as well, is what I would think. But I don't think she's messing around. I mean, I've heard she's got, musicians in the clink there. So I'm not really sure. I mean, maybe this is kind of like we'll consent to this. We'll give you one shot. But if you mess it up, you're going in. It could be that kind of a situation. what federal law is he claiming that supersedes the state for supremacy clause? So he's claiming a couple of pieces of the U.S. code. And I'm too lazy to pull the sections at the moment. But there's two sections in the U.S. code where it says if you are a federal employee and you get charged at a state level, you can ask your case to be removed to federal court because of your status as a federal employee if you're charged because of something that you're doing within the scope of your job as a federal employee. So it's a specific statute section. He's claiming because he was chief of staff that everything he did that he was charged with in Georgia was under his job description as chief of staff, which was a federal employee position. So he's asking it to be removed to court under the code section that allows federal employees acting within their scope, charged with a state crime, to move it to federal court. Right. Yep. I don't think he's a good bet. Yeah. I don't know. There seems to be, I'm not really sure exactly how he's going to prove that some of the things he did. I mean, again, he's got two charges. He's got the RICO charge and then he's got another charge. But it's really the RICO charge in Georgia that's going to be the big question. You'll have to prove what within the scope. That's it. I mean, you're exactly right. We're going to have the debates going on regarding that. Like who is, what's within his scope? What's he allowed to do as chief of staff? And even within the scope of his employment, our campaigning, our checking with reelection, is that really part of his employment as a chief of staff or not? So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that's going to go down. It seems a bit weak to me, but who knows? 1446 could be. Sounds right. I'm just being lazy. This is my third time tonight that I've been back on. Just being lazy, but yeah, that sounds about right. Is he allowed to see or speak to other defendants on non-related subjects? It says here that it's only specific to the facts of this case. So I think if he's talking about anything that's outside of the scope of this case, it's not covered in this agreement. I don't think sedition is in the job description of the chief of staff. You have an excellent point. You really do. And I think that will probably be one of the biggest arguments. Mr. Trump tried the same thing with his case in New York, where he said, look, I was acting within the scope of my position as the president. And they said, I don't think it's within your scope of being the president to pay this money to this woman. And so the judge denied his removal, but he tried the same statute. So yeah, I think he's reaching, and I think he'll continue to reach. No problem. I was trying to help. I think, and you're helpful, Cheesecake. I thank you. I thank you for that. Yes, we're looking at the bond agreement at this time. Mm-hmm. Yep. Not all the charges happen in Georgia, though. Okay, true. Technically, the charges all did, actually. What you're probably talking about are some of the acts. So they charged the RICO statute. This is a Georgia code section. So this is not the federal RICO. This is the Georgia RICO statute. Under this, there need to be acts of racketeering. Now, the acts of racketeering don't all have to take place in Georgia. Some can be in Georgia, some can be in other states, some can be at the federal level. It doesn't matter. The point is that there are racketeering actions that were put together for this organization to further its purpose. The acts themselves, where they occurred, is not really that essential element. And the reason I bring that up is we've got 161 acts, and some of them took place in Georgia. Some of them took place in other states. But the point is that the acts together, you need two or more in order to convict. But all of the acts together, or a few of them even, showed that there was this racketeering acts done in furtherance of this enterprise. That's the key here, because it's charged under the Georgia statute. Two or more, yes. Two or more. Yep. Act 95 is your favorite. Okay, I'm nervous now. I've been dinged a little bit already, but I'll take a peek. I'm not going to share it with everyone. Wait a minute, I've already shown it to everyone. But now I'm curious. You have your own favorite act. Okay. I voted for you. I work for you. I just want, classy. Yes. The telephone call. Very classy. Love that. Love that. Do all defendants have the same agreements for bond? No, no. Each defendant is its own, entity, and they've got their own attorney arguing for them, arguing for what's best for them. So their interests are going to vary quite a bit. Now, if we look at Mr. Eastman, he's got a different level, and he's also got different requirements. He doesn't have those specific requirements setting out not to make threats the same way. It says you can't communicate directly or indirectly with other people. No act to intimidate any persons known to him. But it's very vague, isn't it? I mean, we've got just 7 set out as compared to Mr. Trump's, where he's got these subsections, very specific subsections set out. So the bond will be particular to the person involved. Yeah. The phone calls were really, those were recorded. So, I mean, that's like, yikes. Right. I love that. Yeah, I mean, freedom of speech isn't going to protect you from illegal acts. That's just not going to happen. Consequences, yeah. Well, yeah, it's a lot. It was illegal. Wait, it's illegal. She involved me with a murder. Okay. Acts like case will be, I don't think it can be. Legally, we can't. If we take it for too long, if we wait too long for any case, then we break the rules of speedy and the case can be tossed. And no prosecutor wants that. So the prosecutor is going to keep a close eye on making sure that the case is done in a timely manner. They will revoke his bond. Yeah, they're not playing. They're serious. They're serious about it. Yeah, Jay Hunt, that's not going to happen. Nope, sorry. No thanks. You're helping. Aren't familiar with the legal stuff. Oh, you're welcome. That's my goal. I'm just here to kind of explain the words. I've got no motivation one way or the other than to just kind of help people understand. I think it's kind of tangled up a lot, and there's a lot of bad information out there. So I just want to kind of make this a safe place to just get the facts, just get the information. You can kind of take it with you and do what you can when you go on. I'm not sure about that. No one's above the law. Nope, they aren't. That's exactly right. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. Well put. That's exactly right. What are the actual charges? So all of the charges are listed here. For this indictment, this is just for Georgia. So each defendant's listed on this side, and then under their name are the counts. So everyone's been charged with count 1, and then we have all of these multiple accounts or multiple counts that fall later. So like, for example, we've been talking about Miss Ellis, and she's got counts 1, which is RICO, and then count 2, which is solicitation of violation of oath. So you can match them up with the counts on the right-hand side on the indictment. I don't think I missed, oh, whoa, he's gone. Oh my gosh, my mods. Best mods ever. Oh my goodness. What was the conspiracy exactly? The conspiracy means, conspiracy is what we call an inchoate offense, along with attempt and solicitation. Those are our 3 inchoate offenses in criminal court. And conspiracy means 2 or more people with a common goal, and they take a substantial step or overt acts in order to achieve that goal. That's what a conspiracy is. So for each act, if you've got 2 or more people going in and being involved in that act, you've got not only the act being charged, but you've got the conspiracy to commit the act. Is how our, oh, sure, absolutely. No, I think our inchoate offenses are really kind of tough to understand, because usually we have an act and an intent, and then that makes up our criminal equation. So that's the corpus delicti is what we call it. But with our inchoate offenses, let me just write this down so you can see what I'm talking about when I'm saying it. It's a little bit different, because you don't actually have to be successful in committing the act to be charged with the crime. They will merge into the crime themselves. So we have 3: solicitation, which means you're asking someone to commit a crime. So we've got solicitation of violation of oath, an attempt, and a conspiracy. And so these are crimes that don't necessarily have to have occurred, but it's these overt acts or substantial steps that have been enough in order to make it a crime under the statute. Why are 2 and 5 the same? What they did here for each one of these is there are separate dates and separate statements that were made. So even though it's the same code section, it's a different date, it's a different time, it's a different person. So sometimes we have the judicial committee's been asked, or we've got the governor that's been asked, or the secretary of state that's been asked. So different people, different dates, each time it can be charged as a separate act. Yeah. Yeah. Here for the learning, keep it respectful. Yes, please. Are trolls bad again? Do we need to get some Yes, please do keep it why is this bond so low? Okay, good question. The reason, I think it's just what they do in this jurisdiction. They base the amount of bond off of the kind of crime here. So 10 grand for each one of these, and then 80 for the RICO, which is typical. That's also what they did here for Mr. Eastman. They did 10 each and then 20 for the RICO because his role was a little different. So I think that's just a very typical bond to set for these kinds of cases. Public officer is going to jail. He knew they were shredding ballots, which is a felony. That's incorrect. Okay. Oh, my mods, you're so quick. Yeah, we don't do false information here. It's okay to ask questions, but we don't perpetuate false information. You got it, VC. You got it. So quick. Oh. Oh my goodness. Yes. Uh-oh, I'm afraid to even respond. I'm waiting for the mod to catch you. It's an interesting. Oh, my mods are so fantastic. I'm so great. Wish bond was income based. Well, that's a really good point, actually. If it would be, that seems like that would be more appropriate, doesn't it, in a lot of situations. I'm wondering if someone out there does do income based. I'm not sure. We try to keep everyone equal. No matter your financial status, but that's just, it's a hope and a dream. It's not reality. So it seems like, that's an interesting idea. I like that idea. I'm not sure it would ever happen, but interesting. Do you think they would have indicted him if he wasn't running for office? Yes, Guitar Chef. And my question to you and to everyone who asked that question is, when should they have charged him? We've got all of these violations here that grand jury found. When should they have charged? Should they have waited until after he got elected? And then it would have been, well, you're only bringing it because he got elected. Or should they have done it right away? And then everyone would have said, you did it too soon. You don't have enough evidence. How could you possibly believe you did this crime? I mean, there's no good time for these kinds of cases. There's just no good time. Yeah, it took years to build the case. Absolutely, Tara, you got it. Years and years, and they put it together as quick as they can. And if you think about it, these prosecutors have been living these charges and these facts in this case for years since it happened, since the day it occurred. So, they put it together, put it in front of a grand jury, and then here we are. None of these cases will be dismissed. Not in their current form. I mean, there's no grounds for dismissal at this point. Is there any known legal caveat his team could cite to avoid the RICO statutes at a minimum? Not that I know of, Toriano. Based off of my reading, and I've been looking into RICO, I knew this was coming, so I've been looking into it myself, but I can't think of any kind of, loophole. I think they're already pushing the only thing they've got, which is, I acted within my capacity as a federal employee, so let's move it to federal court. But that just gets them to federal court. That doesn't get them out of the situation. Although he is asking for it to be dismissed under the supremacy clause. But again, that's really quite a stretch. So no, I can't think of it. Please turn in your law degree ASAP. I will turn it in only if all of my loans will be forgiven. That's fine. Yes, we're learning here. We're learning. This is a learning space, learning environment. is going to be an interesting case for jurors, lots of defendants at the same time. True. But if you think about it too, and it is going to be a bit of a mess, but if you think about it, all of these people have been charged with number one. So if you pull a jury in and you present all of the witnesses, all of the facts, all of the evidence, you're not going to want to do it, for 19 separate trials. You're going to want to do it in one shot. So everything gets put in front of that jury, and then the jury decides. Because if they were to try everyone individually, it would be like the same set of people over and over and over again, 19 times they'd be coming in. It would never end. It would just keep going and going and going. Yeah, it is. But that's what the dollars are for, though, isn't it? For holding people accountable that break the law. 70 days speedy trial. Why hasn't this happened? That's a good question, Becky. And I think we've got some motions that have been put into place regarding waiving speedy. So I think there's a lot of pieces regarding that. You're here for the rings. Oh, thank you. Yes, I've got my, this is my second ring of the night. Had to bring out the big stone for the second go of it. He won't do time. He's the top elected official. It seems like that, but in Georgia, they do things a little different. I mean, this mandatory minimum, these, as a former prosecutor and a defense counsel, not a big fan of the mandatory minimums. It takes the discretion away from the judge. There's not a lot of discretion left when it comes to mandatory minimums. Like, they have to do what the statute says. I'm not sure. I can't remember what stone this is, actually. I thought it was quartz, but, then I looked at it and I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm not sure. I know the color's called cognac, but I'm not sure what kind of a stone it is. I got it a really long time ago. I should have really... Oh, really? A topaz. Yeah, that makes sense. I had a topaz phase I was going through, so that could be. Or it could be citrus. Yeah, I don't remember. Is that terrible? I'm going to have to try to do some digging. I really don't. I've been asked so many times and I feel terrible. I just don't, I don't remember. Georgia will be thrown out due to leak. Okay. Leaked document moment. Here we go. We're learning. This was a document that was accidentally filed. It was a work product document. Somebody accidentally clicked send. Happens all the time. Does not lead to grounds for dismissal for a full grand jury indictment. Doesn't happen. Just doesn't happen. There's someone with a false story about this document. I don't know who it is, but somebody, clerical error tally, somebody has put that narrative out there, but it is incorrect. It is absolutely incorrect. Yeah. And I wish I could figure out who did it and call them up and be like, hey, there's a lot of people that don't understand and you're messing with them. So can you stop messing with them? That'd be great. But yeah, I think it's just, it's too bad. I mean, it just happens. It happens all the time. We have lots of cases already, lots of these kinds of cases going where people have had to pull the file and then refile it. Yeah, the judge doesn't care if he was president or not. Your title doesn't matter. I mean, if you're a defendant, that's your title now in court. So that's just kind of how we do that. What convention do they use to name him in the indictment, as in facilitator, leader, etc.? That I don't know. It's going to have to do with how they process their statute, and it's going to be specific to the Georgia law. So I'm not sure how they went about that exactly. I'd have to, look and see what their strategy was, and I've not looked that clearly into it. But yeah, it's going to be specific to how they go about it. What was the leak? What was the personal information of the grand jury? The grand jury is listed in this indictment, who they all are, but their addresses are not listed. And so I think somebody just put their addresses together along with their names, and then that's what happened there. Proud of your state. Okay. Shows how much the average American doesn't know. I think part of it, and I didn't realize either how, the misinformation was so easily grabbed. And I thought, oh, no one's going to believe that. And then I'm like, wow, people really believe that. And honestly, I think if you don't deal in the system, if you're not dealing in the process, it's just not something you're going to really look into. So I think there's just a a problem of, until it touches your life, you just don't deal with it. Oh, my mods are amazing. Oh my gosh. I've loved your lives. How do you break this all down for all these documents? Appreciate it. You're welcome. Oh, I'm glad it's helpful. I'm glad it's helpful to you. The law is complex and kind of boring. No offense. No, it is boring, B. What are you talking about? It's very boring. Unless you're a complete and total law dork. It's okay. Why do they do that for a grand jury but not a trial jury regarding naming them? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And honestly, I'm not sure how they're going to present it to the trial jury. Very helpful. Thank you. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm glad. I'm not sure how they're going to do that, but I think that's a good question. Again, the grand jury only requires that probable cause, so the information and things that are given is going to be less than what it will be for a trial jury. I love this stuff. Oh, I'm so glad. Ooh, very helpful. Good. Oh, good. Yeah, my mods are amazing. They really are amazing. Wish people would do research on things they don't understand. I agree. I agree completely. Would you want to work on this case because it's so important, or not because how crazy it is? No, the madness. I don't want anything to do with the madness. I think it's easy to sit back and be like, well, this is this and this is this, but to actually go into court or to file the things that need to be filed and ask for things like a 2026 court date because your client's requesting it, that's madness. No, thank you. But fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Oh, I'm enjoying being a dork and learning. Yay, dorks unite. How many cases am I working on right now? I've kind of keep that information to myself a little bit, but just it's a manageable amount. They named the grand jury in Georgia because the right to face the accuser. It's a Georgia rule. They've got their Georgia rule. It was elected people put it into their code, so that's how it is. That's how it is. I don't wish for any of my clients to be named or brought up whatsoever on any of my TikToks or have anything to do with my TikToks, so I just don't go into that kind of information. Dorks forever, yes. Dorks forever. Yeah, Matthew, I just don't share that information publicly. I've already had several people kind of coming for me, and I don't need that. So, no thank you. No thanks. What's your practice specialty? I don't really have one anymore. I spent a lot of time doing criminal work, a lot of time doing employment law, lots of different kinds of areas. And so now I'm really client oriented. It depends on kind of who knocks on my door and who needs help. And so I've been able to flip rather than say this is the area I know and then have people come to me just within that area. I've been able to work one-on-one with the clients. So what made you do this? Do you mean like TikTok? That's what I'd be concerned about my safety. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's a real thing for sure. How many cases do you generally work as an attorney at the same time? It depends. It depends on what I've got going on. But I've really reduced my practice over the last couple of years. So the number of clients has definitely decreased. So I really spent a lot of my time, half my time with clients, half my time teaching. So I've really kind of whittled those numbers down. What happens if he's elected and found guilty at the same time? I think we'll have a lot of litigation going on. A lot of litigation will be going on, for sure. Are you licensed in Indiana? No, I'm not. I'm not. Kind of close. Kind of close. Have you ever had any cases with drug kingpins? No, not kingpins, although I've had large amounts. Wonderfully becoming diverse in the law. I think so. I spent a long time in a specialized area, so I've been really pleased to be able to kind of broaden out. Will it change voir dire? Okay, because of the publicity, will it change voir dire more strikes? No, I don't think there'll be more strikes. I think it'll just take a lot longer to pick out the jurors. What's your favorite court law drama movie? I'd have to say probably one of my top ones would be Pelican Brief. Was one of my favorites for sure. Will John Sullivan be charged? I don't know. I think there's a lot. Licensed in Ohio? No, I'm not. Nope, sorry. Although I do have a friend, but I just don't recommend. I had a bad situation where I recommended an attorney who's a friend of mine to someone who really needed an attorney who was another friend of mine, and they just did not mesh, and that was a bad situation. So after that, I just said, nope, not going to do that. Oh, To Kill a Mockingbird, classic. Absolutely classic. Love that one. No, I don't have reciprocity in Georgia. Nope. Oh, My Cousin Vinny, classic. Yes, true. Yeah, I don't really give a location for where I'm at. I am in my central time zone. That's really where, that's it. So that's all that's the only information I have to give out. I have had problems with people trying to locate me and threaten me and various things. So I don't wish for that to continue to go on. So I just got to keep that to myself. You ever watch Law Depicted Movie? And I'm not sure what you mean. Like a bad one? Have you ever been a public defender? Not a public defender. I have done a lot of criminal defense work, but I've not been a public defender before. Are you an actual licensed attorney? I am. Yes, I am. I'm licensed by my state, have to go in every year and do my continuing legal education classes, have to pay my fees, have to get my ethics in, all of those things. All of those things are required. What do I predict will happen? I don't know. My prediction when any case goes to a jury is 50-50. There's a 50-50 shot when you're dealing with a jury. So that's really my only prediction would be, it could go either way. Have I ever been a cashier at a Publix? No, but I have been a cashier, but I'm not going to say which grocery store. Don't want to say which grocery store. It's kind of specific to my state. But yeah, I worked a lot of jobs in my day. A lot of jobs. You got to work a lot of jobs, I think, to figure out that, maybe those jobs aren't what you want. So you got to figure out a different place to go after that, for sure. Like pick through a movie for the inaccuracies. Oh, thank you for clarifying that. Sometimes that happens. It's not necessarily movies, but when I see old legal shows that are like on reruns or late at night, if I see reruns, some of the old law shows are so bad. They're so bad. And so I find myself throwing things at the television, like popcorn, nothing harmful. But I'm like, that's not allowed at all. So I do that a lot. Like, yeah, night court. I mean, I think the word court is generous for night court. But, Perry Mason, oh my gosh. I mean, I adore Perry Mason, but when I watched it, I would get this twitch in my left eye, like, ow. Like, they would actually cite the law, which I found fantastic. But then when they were talking about it, I would, like, fall off the couch. I'm like, that's not how that works. Matlock was good drama too, but yeah, those were a lot. My Cousin Vinny, I thought My Cousin Vinny was actually pretty accurate. The Practice, I think as time went on, things got more accurate. But some of those older shows, oh my goodness, like what are you doing? They were never accurate. Well, they had enough, Ally McBeal, oh, classic. They had enough, like, hints of law in them where I'm like, oh, they're talking about due process clause. And then next, someone would run into the courtroom and be like, I object. I'm like, what? You can't do that. The Practice, yes. Perry Mason was, oh, yeah. I mean, of course. He's classic, of course. Oh, The Good Wife. Oh, my gosh. That one's amazing. Accurate. Amazing and accurate. Yes, quite. Heart to Heart. Oh, Few Good Men. I watched that on repeat whenever I took my finals. And I did it because I knew every word by heart, so I didn't really have to hear the language. But yeah, I mean, it was amazing. Matlock, of course. Yes. Lincoln Lawyer. Yes. Very accurate. Oh, The Client. Yeah. I cried a lot in that one. I'd never admit that again, but I did. It was a good one. Della, oh my gosh, of course. I mean, she was great in the original series, and then when they remade it, oh my gosh, it was like, hello, come back. Loving that. The Rainmaker. I think I have actually, and I think one of the reasons I remember that is because I didn't understand originally what a rainmaker was in legal terms. 12 Angry Men. No, I've not seen that. LA Law classic. Did you see To Kill a Mockingbird? Of course. Yes, my cat's name was Scout, or Jean Louise Finch if she was naughty. So, yes. My favorite book ever. In fact, that was one of the books that inspired me to become a lawyer, for sure. I love that one. Law Abiding Citizen. Yes. Yes, that was a good one. Excellent. Paper Chase. Classic. Classic. Legally Blonde. Yes. You know, surprisingly, Legally Blonde was relatively accurate in some ways. Oh, best book ever. Yes. Better Call Saul. Yes. Yes, true. That was a bit cringe, but I can respect the hustle. Do you mean Dragnet? I mean, we did that. Primal Fear. Whoa, yeah, that takes me back. That takes me way, way back. Yeah. Oh, My Blue Heaven. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, that was such a fun movie. It was a long time ago. Suits, I've not seen. Now, that's been on my list. A lot of people have recommended that. I make them second guess. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The Accused with Jodie Foster? Is that who you're talking about? The Firm, of course. Of course. Devil's Advocate, of course. Of course. The Juror, classic. Yep. All good. 12 Angry Men. Yeah, I've just not seen it. I love My Blue Heaven. Great movie. Very fun. It's so refreshing when you find a movie that is so just, from start to finish, just good stuff. And I would say that for sure. Accused was hard to watch. Absolutely, it was. And horrifically accurate, I think, is a good description of that. Law and Order, yes. Yep, of course. Really, the series finale of Seinfeld. Yeah, I don't know. That was like, because you're sad that it's ending, right? But then they're also all in the clink, and you're like, well, it's about time, Jagged Edge. Oh, I don't think I've seen that one. Oh my gosh, Extraordinary Attorney Woo. Love her. Love her in her whale sounds. Sometimes I put on the whale sounds for myself, and I don't need it when I'm going out in public, but sometimes I'm just like, let's just have a moment. Let's just have a moment. That was such a great one. A Time to Kill classic. Really? At the bar you worked at? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Civil Action, classic, legendary. Kramer v. Kramer, again, legendary. Yeah. Meryl Streep. Oh my gosh. John Grisham. Yeah, he's got skills. He's got a skill set there for sure. Blazing Saddles. Yes. A Few Good Men. Dead Man Walking. Hill Street Blues. Whoa, that's taking me back. Yeah. There we go. Trial lawyers seem to enjoy their moments of being dramatic in the courtroom. It's true. It's true. Sometimes you really have to channel it too. I mean, if you're going in, and I remember having a moment in court. I was arguing a motion to suppress, and I was prosecutor at the time. And it was just a boring motion to suppress. It was fine. It was just me, opposing counsel, and the judge. And I'm like, I'm going to bring the thunder just for fun. And I got so excited about it, I almost fell over in my heels, and I fell against the back. We had our table set up, and I fell against the back of my table, and the judge was like, is the state okay? I'm like, the state's fine. May the state continue. Oh, those moments. Oh, yeah, bring the thunder. Yeah, you got to bring the thunder. Ooh, really? Carlito's Way. Yes. Oh my gosh. Classic. Oh, that's the good stuff. That's the good stuff right there. Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Oh, Boston Legal. Yeah, of course. Oh, Judge Judy. Yeah, I did. But then it just became too real. It was almost like Thanksgiving every day. I'm like, I don't want to have Thanksgiving every day. And that was what Judge Judy was for me. The state is fine, sir. Yes, the state would like to continue. Oh, my cousin Vinny. I know. So good. Can a juror be unseated after already being sworn in if political bias is present? We have to thoroughly question our jurors, and we should not have a juror on there that's got that level of bias. We really shouldn't if we've done our job. Why did you become an attorney? Oh, good question. There were a lot of things in place. I was already working on a political science degree just because of the classes I had chosen along with rhetoric. And I went and I studied abroad for 6 months in Wales, and I didn't have a television. I didn't have access to any of that. So all I had were books. And I just read, To Kill a Mockingbird and a lot of the classic books about, our legal system. And I just was addicted. I just got hooked on it. And I came home and I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. And then that was it. That was it. That was what it took. I was so inspired. I was just ready to go. Night Court. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Oh, Cape Fear. Ooh, that's so scary. That's a scary one. I mean, it was amazingly well acted, but yeah. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? I don't know if that's really a legal movie. Kind of. How are they going to find an impartial jury? Becky, that's a great question. And I know a lot of people are worried about it, but we always do. We always find our impartial jury. We work hard. We train hard. It's part of our job. It's part of our job to find those impartial jurors. Perry Mason. Yes. What if jurors lie during selection? When you've done, in my career, you've put together 500-600 trials, and you've done voir dire over and over and over again, you get used to it. You can see what's going on. And so you just build up. There's a skill set to it. And especially prosecutors, and public defenders, both of them, because they're constantly picking juries, they can tell. It's just part of their skill set. People's Court. Oh my goodness. You wanted to be scout? No, I don't think so. I was more, I was okay just hanging out watching it. I was probably, my mom said I was a little too scoutish when I was a kid, but I can see it. Under which courts is perjury legal? None. Perjury is illegal. It is a criminal case. Oh, good night, Cheesecake. Bye-bye. Thanks for coming. Can you tell when someone's lying to get in or out of jury duty, like clout chasing or avoiding service? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it happens every single time. Every single time you can tell from their answers in their questionnaires to when they're in the box and you're asking them voir dire questions. And the judges get sick of it after a while. They just get tired of it. They're like, come on, people, we got a job to do. Do you do research on the jurors to make sure they're not biased? Yes. Yeah, if there's public information out there available, yeah, there's public information. Is perjury a felony? Typically, yeah, in my jurisdiction it is. In your opinion, is this a lot of evidence against the list? It's a probable cause. That's where I'm at. It's a probable cause. Is it proof beyond a reasonable doubt? I just don't have that. I don't have proof beyond a reasonable doubt at this time with just these facts. But again, we've got some acts and some counts that are only a few sentences of explanation. We just don't have all the facts on it. Oops, I've missed some questions. Sorry. Oh, you were telling them goodbye. Okay, Cheesecake, I got you. Okay, good. Still here. Thanks for being here. You're welcome. Okay, he's reelected, found guilty, not yet sentenced. What then? Pardon himself, co-conspirators pardon. No pardons. Nope. And I'm sure there will be tons of litigation that would be filed before that. We've got attorneys waiting in the wings with motions to be filed, no matter what happens here. We have all sworn oaths to the Constitution, and we have so many people here who are asking other people to deny those oaths. You've got to believe these prosecutors across the board are going to be ready to go forward and file what needs to be filed to make sure that the Constitution's upheld. Recommends lawyers. Do you think lawyers in these programs really care? Your state bar recommends lawyers. I think it depends on the lawyer. I don't think we can do a across the board swipe. I think some attorneys really care. Some attorneys are burnt out. Some attorneys are just kind of stuck in their ways and are unable to move. It's really like a lot of other professions. But unfortunately, the stakes are just so much higher with an attorney. And so it's not necessarily that, we're unique because we're lawyers. It's just the damage we can do if we don't do it right is so much more significant, which is unfortunate. Yeah, it's all about the Constitution. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Only federal convictions can be pardoned. Yeah, if there's a conviction here in Georgia, we don't have any federal pardoning situations going on here. And in fact, not even their governor. I think it's their state legislature that goes forward on the pardons. They've got some interesting laws there in Georgia. Very interesting. If the client says he didn't do it, do you still protect him? Well, James, it's not about protecting the client. It's not about that, first of all. Second of all, I'm not going to ask my client if my client did it or did not do it. That's not what I'm asking. When I was doing criminal defense work, I would not ask that question. When I would listen to a defendant, I would listen to the story and figure out if everybody had done their job. Did the police do their job? Did the investigators do their job? What happened here? Did this particular person get the rights that they're allotted because of the Constitution? If they did not, if there was a violation of their right, I would consider taking their case. But it wasn't about proving, someone who clearly did a crime innocent. No, that's not what you do as defense counsel. What you do is you prove that the system followed the rules that are set out by the Constitution. That's what your job is as defense counsel. Do you think anyone will have the courage to hold accountable for threatening on social media? I think so. I think we're in the step in the right direction when it comes to this particular bond agreement. Yeah, came in with state indictments. Exactly. And I think, too, that's her forte. That's where she's strong at. That's her strength. Yeah, she knows what she's working on. You work on bargaining for plea deals. That's part of it. I mean, that's part of your job as defense counsel. If the other side is willing to work with you and plead down to a lesser charge, and that's what your client wants to do, then that's what you do. Absolutely. Appreciate the explanation how it applies to defending the guilty. Well, yeah, I mean, again, it's not like, oh my gosh, this horrible person, I want to defend them because they should go free. No, nobody wants to do that. I mean, it kills you. It takes part of your soul when you are working with someone that is frightening. I mean, the scariest times in my life have been sitting in a tiny cell in the jail cell talking to someone about a horrible crime that left someone horribly, horribly harmed. And looking at them and being like, wow, oh my gosh, was all the laws held up properly? Is the Constitution applying here? Meanwhile, trying to not provoke them into harming you. Eventually, that client was no longer a client. That particular client had to go. But it's scary. Again, you have to do it for, the love of the game. You don't do it for that person. You do it to make sure that the rights are upheld. That's what it's about. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. It's hard. It's a difficult situation, and, you can't do it for very long. I certainly couldn't. That's why I'm very client oriented now. I'm very, very particular about my clients because I think, I put my time in. I did my time, but now I'm done. So I'm very careful. I don't think we use the F word, and your name is really offensive. I'm not sure if you knew that. Oh, and he's gone because of the Constitution. Can the judge overrule the jury? Oh, great question. There can be a judgment notwithstanding a verdict is an option. Very rare, very, very rare. Our judges tend to be extremely respectful of the jury's decision. So it would really take a very rare situation for that to happen. Oh yeah, my mods are so amazing. I'm so thankful. Oh my gosh. I have to throw a party just for my mods. Thank you for standing up for the Constitution. Oh, well, yes, of course. That's my job. That's my job. But, it's a job that you want to, as defense counsel, my heart goes out to him. My heart absolutely goes out to him. It's a tough job, and it's just a tough job. Yeah. Well, right. Like Pence overturning the results. I'm not sure what you mean. What results? I'm not sure what you mean. Awesome. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Yes. Oh, that's what I try to do. Just giving you facts and laws here. Prosecutors generally work with defense lawyers on plea deals. We do. And the reason why is because if we took every single case to trial, nothing would get done in the entire United States. I mean, it just wouldn't get done. And, we talk to the officers, like the officers that have worked the case, and we look at the history that's been going on. We look at the person, we look at the accountability. The other thing, too, is if you have a plea agreement, you are guaranteed accountability. But if you take it to a jury trial, that's a 50-50 shot. Again, no matter how strong your case is. And so if you're like, I'm taking this all the way, we're going to the max, we're going to go full on, this case, this person deserves full accountability, take it to a jury trial, and they find him not guilty, you get nothing. But meanwhile, if you can get them to plead out to something that is appropriate for accountability, you've got that accountability. Is it legal to file an indictment before a grand jury makes a decision? I have no idea what you're talking about. The grand jury is the indictment. So there is no way to file an indictment before a grand jury. The grand jury decides the indictment. Yeah. Love it. Thank you for your... Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. As compared to judges going over juries. Yeah, OJ would still be in pretrial. Oh my gosh. Oh, you're not wrong. OJ. In your opinion, are politicians all about power? Politicians are about being reelected. And that's how it is. That's how it is. That's how our system is set up, unfortunately. So, if you've got a good base, a good, strong, wholesome base, you're good to go. But if you're having to, sway depending on how to get elected, that's going to change your mind. It's going to make you do things you may not have otherwise chosen to do. Is there any case in criminal court that impacted negatively? Yeah. I've had some rough cases. I've had some very rough cases. Domestic cases are rough. SA cases are rough, incredibly rough. Harming children, those are rough, especially drugs in children. Those are very, very rough cases. So yeah, you'll have some cases that stick with you for life, for sure. Is this about the scope of state prosecution to go after government officials? I don't think so. I mean, this is just Georgia statute and a Georgia DA charging that. So, yeah. Will he take the stand? No way will the defense allow him. Well, he has a right under the Constitution. He can testify. If he wants to testify, he can. And that's his right. His attorneys will not be able to stop him from testifying. If you lost an appeal, would you have to reserve a sentence? I'm not sure what you mean. Like if you lose an appeal, your sentence is still in place? Yeah, you have to be a little bit more specific. I'm not sure exactly what you mean. Hope he does. It could. Oh, Kangaroo Court. Yep. Kangaroo Court, Banana Republic, Mickey Mouse Court, maybe. Reserve. Would you have to reserve? Oh, all right, hold on. If you lost an appeal, would you have to reserve a sentence? No. Oh, no, not at all. No, you would be serving your sentence while you're appealing. That's how that works. And all of that time would be counted towards your sentence. So you would be getting credit for all of that time. Do you think other defendants will turn on him? Well, I would. I mean, no offense, but I would. If I'm looking at crimes of this magnitude, heck yeah. I'd be like, what do I need to do so that, this doesn't happen to me? What can I say? What can I do? But that's just me. But yeah, I mean, I would. He's not going to testify. Yeah, I mean, he most certainly doesn't have to, but it is his right. And if he thinks if he gets up there and just explains it to everyone and that it'll be okay, maybe that's what he wants to do. I think a lot will jump. Yeah, I think so too. I would. Purple People Eater Court. Oh my goodness. Purple People Eater Court. Yeah. Oh, that's my new favorite phrase ever. Don't understand the truth, what the Constitution really means and says. It's true. It's complicated, and yeah, it's a problem. I think we're missing some fundamental basics, which is fine. As long as where you go to get those fundamental basics, you are accurate. Yes, and I think this week, I think that's the big thing. I think a lot of them are talking to her this week. Yeah, they're all over the place. Isn't it true? He went to jail. Yeah, there'd have to be some kind of an accommodation made, but that's fine. I mean, I'm sure they have no problem with that. Oh yeah, I mean, Debbie, that's kind of classic, isn't it? That's when everybody's getting called out for conspiracy You got to figure out what's best for you. You got to save yourself. You got to take care of yourself. Or, I mean, do you really want to go down with the ship for all these years in prison? Found guilty and sent to prison, where will he serve? He would be in a state prison in Georgia. If he's convicted in Georgia, that's where he would be. And there would probably be special accommodations made for sure. Cases where people deny personal intent when legally acting on behalf of others. So that's a good question. Personal intent. So they're saying basically like, hey, I was just doing what I was told. And that's not going to work for you in criminal court. People try that, but it just falls flat. It can sometimes mitigate your intent or lower your level of intent, but it's not going to erase it. So if someone tells you to do something and what you're doing is illegal, you're going to be held accountable for it, even if you didn't know. So let me give you an example. Probably the most classic example I can give you is when, someone claims that they're a certain age, but they're actually years and years younger than that age. And you're like, well, I didn't know. That's one example of like, well, your mistake of fact is not a defense against the crime that was done. So that would be my most classic example. Yeah, if you were told to rob a bank, would you? Exactly. That's exactly it, Cheesecake. You got it. I mean, that's the question. Ignorance of the law, right. And that's what it's called. It's called mistake of fact as a defense. And there's no jurisdiction that allows for that as a full defense. How does the doxing of the jurors affect the trial? I think it's just something that's interesting to Georgia because their names were listed out in the indictment. We don't really see that in all of our states. It's kind of unusual, and that their addresses came in later is a good question. But having their names on the indictment, that's just kind of how they do things there. What's your explanation of the RICO charge? I don't know. There were 161 acts. They need to find 2 or more. They had 3 or more people with a common goal. So they had an enterprise. Won't this get moved to federal court? I don't think so. I mean, we've got legitimate Georgia code sections here. These are all Georgia laws that have been violated, have alleged to have been violated, all of them. So the only issue with the federal court is that what Mr. Meadows is claiming is that he was acting within his capacity as chief of staff, which is a federal employee role. And so he's using a particular statute to say, hey, I was doing all of this under my role as the chief of staff, so it can be removed to federal court. That's his argument. Well, federal election, right, but local state law violations. So it doesn't matter what kind of an election it was. What they have are state laws that have been violated. If someone committed a crime in New York, but they're from Georgia, where would they be tried? You're tried in the jurisdiction where the crime occurred. So that's why we've got Georgia statutes here, because Georgia crimes were violated. Okay. Right. Will not get his case moved. I think it's a good question. But I don't think it's a solid question. I think it's one you have to make. I think the defense had to make that move. Imagine overthrowing an election that's out of his purview. I think you're right, Angie. I think you're right. And, I think the judge will make that decision and make that decision and decide, hey, was this part of your job as a chief of staff? Let's talk about it. Well, I don't doubt it that it'll go to court, Jack, but whether or not there's proof beyond a reasonable doubt, that's up to the jury. That's up to the jury to decide. Certainly is not up to me, for sure. Will they take his mugshot and keep them in jail? I'm not sure. It looks like that's their protocol there. So it's looking like, that will happen. But how exactly it goes down will be up to the people. When are you going to invent more? I didn't invent any charge. Oh, he's gone. And he's gone. My mods. Oh, you guys are so fantastic. Yeah, $200,000 bill, but you'll have to pay 10% of that. So I'm worried about the Georgia legislature removing the DA via the new law. I'm not concerned about it at this point. I don't think it's going to be able to go down that road. And she's prevailed so many times, time after time after time. She's been brought in to court to try to get this case tossed, and it's not happened yet. Would they move a trial for Giuliani if he was tried in due to a conflict of interest? I'm not sure. Like if he's charged, so the New York charges, they will find a jury. I mean, I don't think that they could have such a conflict of interest that they wouldn't be able to overcome it in New York because it's such a big jurisdiction. Now, if it was a small rural community, that's something different. But I think just numbers wise, it would be okay. Change of venue, yeah, but I'm not sure. Change of venue would be appropriate. But of course, you could always ask. You could always ask for that. You can indict a ham sandwich. Well, I mean, he's very popular. Yeah, I mean, it seems like it. It seems like in New York he was very popular. But again, you can find impartial jury. We always find our impartial jury. We always find them somehow. Like he would get a fair trial in Fulton. Well, where's a good place for him to get a fair trial then? If not in Fulton, where should he be tried? So the crimes were committed here. So where should he be tried then? Oh, good night, Greg. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it. Can you ask a question? Sure. You can ask a question. If the ham sandwich violated the law. It's true. That's true. Oh my gosh. How many people received to keep your soon to be? Oh, that's a good question. I got no idea about that. Try him in Fulton County. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Moscow. I don't think Moscow doesn't have jurisdiction. I think that would. Yeah, I mean, again, when we start picking and choosing which, or what we would call forum shopping, if we start picking and choosing where we take people in order to have the trials, that starts to get a little questionable, doesn't it? And then if we do it for this case, why can't we do it for all the cases? Is the ham sandwich without cheese? Yeah, I don't know. No. There are a lot of people there's a wake of there's carnage. There's so much carnage going on in these cases. And there are so many people. Yeah, they can make the request. But, it doesn't mean that it'll be granted. All of the pretrial motions to remove, dismiss, change venue will surely be denied accordingly. It seems like they're likely to be, but you got to make those motions. If you miss filing one of those motions, you can be, charged with bad, you can have all kinds of ethical violations against you. Oh, good night. Thanks for coming, Mandy. Imagine having bail revoked. Oh, I know. This is pretty hardcore. The media were to report a scandalous truth of a public figure. Wouldn't that be defamation? Okay, what you want to look to is New York Times versus Sullivan. That's the case specific to public figures and defamation. Also, well, I don't think I can say the name of that case, but there's another case that goes into that as well. They believe they will not get a fair and impartial jury, can request a change. Yeah, they can. But, we always find our juries. So, but it is possible to request the moving of that. Mm-hmm. Right. Yep. Yeah, there was a very famous publisher, Mr. Flint, who was involved in a First Amendment case involving a public figure that was published. Right. Yep. Right. Doesn't mean it's going to get moved. Yep, you're right. Yes, I have had a bit of a long day. I was happy though to hop back on. I've got just a little bit more time in me. I got about 10 minutes here. So, well, Kim, but yeah, that's a really big case. Yeah, that's a very big case involving the First Amendment. Absolutely. How long each trial will last? I really have no idea. Complicated case like this, I've got no idea, especially on the RICO case alone, where we've got, 161 acts to show to the jury. And then after all of that, all of the rest of the 41 or the 40 counts that come after that, it's going to take a long time. Do you think he was overcharged? Oop, I lost your comment. Do you think he he was overcharged and that ultimately most charges will be dismissed. No, I think typically what we do, what most prosecutors do when they charge for a grand jury is they undercharge by a lot. Usually we take about 20% of our charges in front of our grand jury because that's all we really need for probable cause. So no, all of our indictments, we never put everything on the table for the indictment because you don't need it. You just don't need to. Is the discovery the next process? Yes. Yeah, after everyone gets booked in, we'll set out the discovery schedule. Thank you. You're welcome. Yes, I think you got it. I think you figured out the case. Kim, that's all right. You're going to be live on Thursday? Yes. I usually go about 6 o'clock Central Time. Sometimes I pop on before, but if we get something interesting that comes down, I'll pop on before, but enjoy your lives. Wish you did medical malpractice. Yikes, that's a tough area for sure. Overcharged. Well, I don't know. I mean, again, we traditionally, when prosecutors bring in indictments, they're only charging about 20% of what they've actually got because they don't need more than that. Why was it? Okay, it wasn't leaked. What was a sheet of paper here? It was accidentally filed. Somebody hit the wrong button. Please, I'm confused as to why asking for a recount is not a crime. It's not. Asking for a recount is not a crime, but, asking people to commit fraud, making false statements, solicitation of violation of oath, impersonating public officers, forgery, going into actual computer programs, changing the names of voters and such. I mean, or not the names, but let me get it correct. I don't want to say bad information here. Let me get it correct here. Conspiracy to commit computer trespass, computer theft, computer invasion of privacy, defrauding the state, those kinds of things. Those are all illegal. So if you just want to ask a question, that's not illegal. But if you do illegal stuff, that's illegal. Stealing voter information. Thank you. Yes, that's right. Yeah, Jen, that's, this looks pretty bad, and I get that, but traditionally and typically what happens with prosecutors is they don't put their whole case on in front of a grand jury. They don't have to. They don't need to. They only need probable cause. That proof beyond a reasonable doubt, that's the full meal. That's what goes in front of the jury, the trial jury. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm confused as well as 80% more charges. Yeah, 80% more information. I'm not sure. Did they charge everything they could possibly charge? Probably not. They just wouldn't do that. You put you put a lot of your strongest pieces forward, but you don't have to put everything forward in order to go forward on your case. You just don't need to. Yeah. Typically that's how we do it. And that's how it is for all of the cases that are going for New York, for DC, for everywhere, for Florida. We're reading through these indictments and we're seeing all of this information, but, this is just what was needed for probable cause. Again, I mean, they're not going to bring a case that they don't think they can get proof beyond a reasonable doubt, at least as a good effort, but they're not going to plead all of that into the indictment. They just don't need to. That's why we're talking about over 1 million pieces of paper for discovery in the DC case. So if they've got 1 million pieces in DC, imagine how much they've got here in Georgia. Yeah, I apologize. I guess I figured everybody knew that. I apologize. I'm bringing in some information I thought everybody knew. That's how our system works. Sorry about that. No, RICO's not federal. There is a federal RICO statute, but it's not charged. This is the Georgia statute. Someone native to Georgia but tried in New York. Where would they serve their time? You serve time where you're found guilty. That's where you serve. That's the jurisdiction. Yeah, no, I'm not making stuff up. You think he'll take a plea? I don't know. It's possible. It's possible. I would. Yeah, no. I mean, that's right. I mean, you see where I'm coming from, right? When we've got such a small level of evidence that's required, that we wouldn't need to present all of it to the grand jury. It would just take a lot of time and a lot of energy when you only need probable cause. It could be. She could be. There's a lot of talk out there. His ego won't let him take the plea. That's an element. I mean, I think that's an element for everyone. Do you think Kemp will pardon? No, I don't think so. I don't think that, no, Stacey Abrams certainly did not, or there would have been some kind of charges. Wow, that's completely false. It's totally false information. Nope. So when convicted and charged, no one can pardon him, they say. I think the Georgia state legislature can possibly pardon him, I believe. Yeah. Does anyone turn themselves in? Not that I know of. Georgia has a pardon board. Okay, he would still serve. Yeah, there's a mandatory minimum. I don't think Kemp would not. Yeah, no, Kemp doesn't have the authority. I'm stressed because my license plate stickers are on the seat instead of the car. Jen, take a deep breath. Put your stickers on your car. Just put them on. Put your stickers on there. I mean, stop the car first. But yeah. Convict. Nope, it's a different group. A pardon board, 5 years. Yeah, I think that minimum 5 years, and then, yeah, it's outside of the scope of the governor. Georgia just has different rules. Each state has their own rules that they can do. If someone native to Canada, crime served in America, would they have to serve in Canada? So you serve in whichever jurisdiction you're convicted in. So if you're convicted in Canada, you serve in Canada. It doesn't matter where you're from. Posted the law earlier. Yeah. Election interference. It's what's going on right now. Well, I mean, it's what's going on in this case. It's all over the place in here. We've got, like, election computers being picked up and all kinds of stuff going on. Right here, commit election fraud, count 33, 32, commit election fraud. So, yeah, there's some in there. Georgia rocks. Okay, you got it. Okay, I got you now, Trogdar. I got you. Okay, so it's a parole board. All right, I believe you. That sounds good. If convicted, how many years? I'm not sure. Okay, Brenda, you are too. There's a mandatory minimum 5 years here, but for the rest of these, I just don't know. Okay, good. Thanks, Cheesecake. Oh, that's good to hear. It's nice to have other people come in and kind of confirm that. Yeah, that was my understanding. It's not up to the governor. Could they be part? No, I don't think the governor of Georgia can do it. I think that's what we're going about, is that we've got the parole board situation. Pardon and parole board is involved. Georgia's unique. They have their own set of rules. No, he cannot. Right. No, he cannot. Cheesecake says you can't. So the Georgia governor cannot. Okay, there we go. We got it. No, he cannot. Down with the Georgia governor for pardoning. Nope, that's not how it works in Georgia. A 5-member parole board. Okay, got it. I think we've all learned something very valuable tonight when it comes to Georgia and pardoning. I think that's very important. You posted the code section earlier. Okay, I'll have to go back and review that. Thank you, Cheesecake. I appreciate that. Right. Although the Georgia, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. The 5 years served is going to make a few people plead. Oh, yeah, I agree. I absolutely would agree. I'm not sure about the perp walk. Not sure about that. Yeah, don't do crimes in Georgia. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, they're hardcore. They're not messing around. They're making laws left and right. Allow bounty hunting. Probably its own set of rules just for the I just think for anyone who crosses Georgia, you have to serve a minimum sentence to be eligible to even request a pardon. Really? Wow, that is hardcore. Oh my gosh. I didn't know that you had to serve a minimum. Yikes. Wow. We would love you to moderate the trial when it gets underway. I will see what I can do. I should set something up. I think it'll be interesting. You can't be pardoned in Georgia until your sentence is done. Really? Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, they're hardcore. They're hardcore in Georgia. Don't mess with Georgia. This was bad luck playing around with Georgia. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. I got a few things I'm kind of working on to see if I can figure it out. Oh, I'm not in Georgia. No. I'm in Central Time Zone. Yeah, it is really interesting. I think it'd be helpful to kind of go through and be like, well, why did they do this objection, or why did that piece of evidence come in, and those kinds of things. So I think that would be helpful to do kind of a Q&A as we're going through it. So I'll try to see what I can do to to get that set up. 14th Amendment, great conversation. 14th Amendment, Section 3, lots of questions about it. Are convictions required? I don't think so. That's where I'm going to put my money. But, that's kind of up to I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. Oh, off you go, Mama Vanna. Off you go. Thanks for coming, though. Thanks for coming. I appreciate your time. I really do, truly. How about tax laws? Yikes, tax laws. Ugh. No thanks. No tax law for me. I feel like attorneys are kind of nerdy about their profession, like we engineers. I think you're right. Actually, my dearest friend is a chemical engineer, and we are both so nerdy and dorkish that it's just a perfect combo. I wouldn't have it any other way. Good night. Oh, yes. Oh, thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. What law do I practice? A little bit of everything. I spent a lot of time in criminal courts. Spent a lot of time, but also torts and litigation, employment law, those kinds of areas too. They already said streets around the jail will be closed. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that too. There's a lot of security going on. So hopefully everything will be kept safe. Who wants peach cobbler and pecan pie? Is it pecan or is it pecan? Is it pecan or pecan? I don't know. Lawyers are nerds too. So true, Jen. Yep, true story. Nerds and dorks. And we'll fight you over it. Love what you're doing. Thanks for sharing the truth. Good night. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. You're welcome. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Pecan? Pecan? Oh. Oh my gosh. Oh, am I a trial lawyer? I'm a trial lawyer now, only if I need to be in court, but pecan. Okay, good to know. I've done a lot. I've done hundreds and hundreds of trials in my career, but these days, not so much. I just don't need to go into court anymore. Why wasn't Rudy arrested for lying to police about the grocery store backslap? I don't know. I'm not sure what the police are doing with that. Rudy's really, he's in a bit of a pickle. Brother's a licensed engineer. His wife is an engineer. Reason for having for 22 years? Could be. It could very well be, Suze. Absolutely could be. I think you have to have basic certain understanding when you do that. What are you doing with the indictment? Well, right now I'm just pointing at it mostly. Mostly, but we've been talking about his bail. Oh, that was set today. So I've probably been on for a little too long. But they're not quite done with Rudy. I think you're right. I think they're not quite done yet. Violations. Yes, I agree. That chief of staff business. You should see their basement. Oh, I love it. I bet it's fantastic. Under the Constitution to question an election. No, you can question an election. You just can't commit all of these illegal acts. You can't do that. Questioning an election's fine. But yeah, you gotta be careful about that. Low bail. It seems like it, but I think it's pretty normal for the charges here. This is Eastman's. His are very similar. So it looks like 10 grand a pop here, and then the RICO's in the 80. So it looks low, but I think it's just pretty typical for how they charge things there. Parts of discoveries withheld. Is that grounds for mistrial? Yeah, it is. Absolutely. That's a violation of the Brady Law. You have to give evidence to the defendant. You have to. You can't withhold it. You can't withhold any evidence, especially exculpatory evidence or evidence that could prove he didn't do it. You have to give that to the defendant, or else he can't get a fair trial. You have to do that. Can trust and believe they're being meticulous and transparent. Yeah, hopefully. We'll see. I think Rudy should argue incompetence for himself and spend the rest of his life in a home. Don't hold back. How do you really feel about it? Oh, didn't get your laundry done. Oh, Marlene, no, I'm sorry. I would come and help you do your laundry, but I think that would give my anonymity away. Oh my gosh. Good luck to you. Good luck to you doing your laundry. Yikes. Oh, say he's found not guilty, right? Has to drop his charges due to double jeopardy. Nope. The charges have been charged under different laws. So if you're charged under different laws, it's not double jeopardy. It's only double jeopardy if you're charged for the same crime, same law twice. You can be charged in multiple states for the same act because you're charged with different laws. Social workers aren't nerdy. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. We love our social workers working so hard and being not thanked ever for the hard work that they're doing. Can unconsented recordings be considered legal evidence? Yes. Yes, it depends on the situation, but yes. And you would have to get around the hearsay rules. And by get around, I mean use one of the 27 exceptions to hearsay in order to do that. Any of the laws unconstitutional? I don't believe so. I've looked through them. I mean, that's the question. Like, can you get this up to the U.S. Supreme Court? Well, the law would have to be considered unconstitutional. And based off of the history and the law sections listed in Georgia, I don't think so. I don't think so, in my opinion. One-party consent state in Georgia? That's good to know. There are exceptions to hearsay. Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. Let me show you. It's one of my favorite things. One of my least favorite things for my students, anytime when we got to the hearsay chapter, they would all be like, no, please stop, don't do it. Like, we have to do it. So hearsay is under Rule 801 for evidence. And then we have a few exceptions already that are statements that are not hearsay. And then we get into 803, and that's the beginning of our exceptions. So we have all of these exceptions all through here, which go all the way down into 24. And then we have 804, which are a few more exceptions as well. And then we have our residual hearsay exceptions. So, yeah, there's a lot of exceptions. So is hearsay allowed? No, but you can use an exception. That's usually how it works. Is that a lawyer's Cliff Notes book? No. No, this is just a small pocket, I guess, pocket edition of Federal Rules of Evidence and the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. So I use these the most frequently to kind of explain how evidence and criminal procedure works. So it's nice to have them in a small, compact version. Yeah, it's kind of sad, isn't it? Yes, you got it, flute player. It is the Federal Rules of Evidence, and you can go online. It's free if you want to look it up. I actually have a copy I printed too, which is a large version that I use when I go through and explain how the rules work. But it's nice to have a little one that I can just pull out when people have questions about it. So, no, I don't think Meadows has immunity. I think Meadows is really reaching, but I think it's very worth his while to reach. I mean, he might get lucky, but... Well, thank you, Val Walker. Thank you. Good night. Good night to you too. Thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Where can I find a copy of this? Online. You can go online. There's lots of different places. But if you don't want the book, you don't necessarily have to get the book. The rules are available free online. So, does it have an audiobook? I believe so. I believe it does. That's a great question, actually. Witnesses who have signed NDAs are allowed to testify in court. Of course, absolutely. Yeah, court rules everything. So just because you've got an NDA and the court asks you a question, you got to answer that question or you'll go to jail. Yeah, I think so. I think Meadows is, I don't know. I think it'd be everybody's best interest to just, look at what your future is going to look like. Warrior. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for coming by. Gonna need to print out this. Yeah, absolutely. And the Federal Rules of Evidence, all those rules are all available online. I think these books are just like $10, maybe something like that. I think, you can go online and find them if you're interested. So, oh yes, you're welcome. I'm hoping it was helpful. I'm hoping you were able to get some good information so you can go forth and make your decisions. So, I think a lot will flip. I think you're right. Where online exactly? If you're looking for the Federal Rules of Evidence, what you want to do is just look up Federal Rules of Evidence 2023 edition, and it will give you multiple websites with lots of different choices. You just want to hunt through until you can find a copy that's online. Oh, little dog, thank you. Thank you very much. Is a witness exempted for violating an NDA if they testify in court? Yeah. I think if you're asked a question in court and there's a contract that says an NDA, you can try to say, well, I plead the Fifth Amendment because it's going to incriminate me because I'll have a negative effect on my contract. But the court will be like, that's too bad. We don't care about your contract. If you're in court, you're under oath. We ask you a question, you have to answer it. If there's no criminal charge or loss of freedom, you got to answer it. And so if you come back later and NDA is like, well, you disclosed, you're like, I had to. It was under a court order. That could be argued in court. Thanks for the education of law very much. Oh, yeah, I do my best. I do try to help as best as I can, Flute Player. I appreciate you coming in tonight and chatting with us. Are there any violations of his First or Fourth Amendment rights? No. There's not. The short and long of it. Not on this information. Not with what I have here. Could more information come to light? Absolutely. Once those pretrial motions get filed for motions to suppress or motions in limine, then we can reassess the situation. But based off of just what we have with the indictments, no. Where can you find this one here? This document, is that what you mean? The bond agreement. You would go online, you look up State of Georgia versus Trump, and then you would look for consent bond order. And then it'll pull up a whole bunch of different sites. And I'm not sure, it depends on where you're at in the country, on what will pull up. And it could be a newspaper, it could be a news website. I don't know, it could be CNN, could be some other place. But what you want to find is if they've got a PDF file that has this stamp on it from the court, and then you'll be able to find it. See what the Secretary of State has to say that he hasn't said yet. I have no doubt that there's more information out there. I have no doubt about it. Can a victim of SA take their contractor to court for the crime? Yes, I would. I mean, that's not legal advice to a specific situation. This is general legal education. But in general, you can take someone to court if there's been a harm done against you. It doesn't matter if there's an NDA or not. You can still bring that to court. General legal information, not legal advice. You can go directly to the Fulton County website. Good point, Cheesecake. Yep. I don't give out specific websites just because for some reason that dings me in the algorithm. So I don't say that. So I rely on just kind of general information. Listen to you throughout. Thank you for your patience for answering your Yeah, I do try to do my best. People come in at different times and so on, but what's the parent link to look up the case number? Yeah, you can pull this case number up. Just put this case number in and see what comes up. Again, I'm hesitant to give specific websites myself, me personally, although a lot of my viewers and people in my chat have excellent information. So you can see in the comments here that there are a few different places you can get it from. But yeah, I just try to be careful. I don't know what's going on. I got dinged for just yesterday for a comment that was just 2 letters. I was like, wait a minute, what happened? So yeah, I'm just being a little extra careful about that. Yeah, it's a legitimate question. I'm just being kind of careful at the moment, so. Yep. Oh, no, Cheesecake, you're good. No, you're good to go. No, you're doing a great job. Exactly. Go to what Cheesecake says. Follow Cheesecake. That person's got it. He, she, they had it. Found a website. Okay, good. Glad to hear it. Yeah, it's just me. It's just the words I'm saying. I'm just a little extra careful about. Ha ha ha. Well, I know what you're saying is true. You're saying the truth the best you can. Found guilty, he won't be in regular jail. I think there'll be special accommodations, and that can happen with a lot of our special people. So our special people that get put into these kinds of circumstances. I think he would need special accommodations. He would need that because of his status and who he is, if that was to eventually happen, which, we're looking at, quite a ways down the road before we're even going to be considering something like that. But we would need to have, for his safety, he would need to have some kind of a special situation. I don't think house arrest necessarily. I think that would require too many resources. But do what Cheesecake says. Yeah, I think it has to do with safety. I think that's a big part of it. Have to build a new jail for all of them. It's a lot of people. You're not wrong about that. There are quite a few people. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, if it's going to be like, X-Man with the glass cage or what, but I have no idea. But they will have to make some kind of an accommodation, because it is a special situation once you get into a prison situation. I'm craving cheesecake. Oh, I know. That's the best name ever. The jail needs to be... Ooh, it's bad. Yeah, I've heard it's bad. That's no good for anyone, for any of the defendants. You're working incredibly hard. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Ah, oh, I'm just trying to do my best. Hannibal Lecter situation. Oh, and you have no cheesecake. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Now we're all just like in shock right now. Yeah, no, I think it'll be somewhere, it'll be somewhere local. I'm just not sure exactly, what it would look like. But again, that's way, way down the road. We're not anywhere near there at this point. A slacker. Oh, that's funny. They get so protected, they basically spend their life in solitary. Yeah, and that's not a good way either. I mean, that's not a good way to live. That's not good either. Okay, fair. I think you can make your suggestions. There's nothing wrong with making suggestions. It's looking like it. I mean, I think we don't have any convictions here. We don't, but we've got a lot. I mean, we've got almost 100 charges. If you're just crunching numbers statistically, the likelihood is that something is going to get put into place here. Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around it, but I think it's definitely, I mean, we're looking at all kinds of charges all over the place. I've never seen anything like this, where an act of this magnitude, with so many people involved. So, I mean, it seems like something here. Known for winning RICO cases. Yeah, I think the RICO is a really big piece to it. It could be Diesel. It could be all lies. I mean, again, we'll put them in front of a trial jury. We'll be able to do cross-examination. Defendant will get to put on witnesses if they want. They don't have to, though. It's up to the state to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not up to the defendant to prove that he's not guilty. It's up to the state to prove that he is. That's their job. They have to do their job. So we will see. How long can he delay? I think, the judge is going to not give too much room here, because there is so much going on. Fed up with the trolls and yell, you can't handle the truth. Yeah, I don't, I think we just, trolls come and go. It's part of life. When you're on a live, or when you're just walking around, Menards or whatever. It's just part of life. Why didn't he want to have his press conference? Really? Maybe. Perhaps. Oh, you have jury duty tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Thank you for your service. Even if you're not chosen, appreciate your time and energy. No, it's inconvenience and awful, but we are thankful. 70 days for speedy trial. Yep. You got it, Becky. You got it. That's very important. Right. It's not his burden. Yeah, it's not. It's up to the state. The state's got to do it. Yeah, I mean, we still have to go. We have to have a trial. He has a right to a fair trial, and we have to respect that. We have to make sure we have all of his rights protected, and in the situation, that's how our system works for everybody, for every defendant. That's how it's supposed to be. So. All right, I'm checking my time here. I've actually gone an extra 30 minutes over my 10 minutes, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to call it a night tonight, everybody. But thank you for coming by. Hopefully I was able to catch more of you tonight. After the first time I went, I just didn't catch enough people, so I will be back Thursday without a doubt. If anything fascinating or super big comes down before then, I will definitely be back on. But, you're so welcome. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by and asking your questions. Oh, my mods, thank you so much to my moderators. Oh my gosh, so thankful. But, oh, Sue, that's so sweet of you. I appreciate it. Oh, thanks. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I will be back on. Of course, tag me on anything if you've got questions on things and ask any questions that you may have as well. So feel free to just hang out for a while. Next time when we get together, I will be back Thursday. So yes, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Yes, this is such a great community. I'm very thankful for that. But take care, everybody. Have a great night. I will catch you all Thursday.